Welcome to yet another edition of Bucher and Friends. This is Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of United We Cast Network. Ryan, the season is in full swing, and we have a few things to talk about. A few surprises coming out of the gate. Don't want to overreact. It's only a week and a half of basketball to this point. Nonetheless, have to ask you, I'm going to start, and this is a place that I never dreamed that I would be starting this early in the season. If I'm not mistaken, the Detroit Pistons were in one of our gray area teams, one of our...
Nah, that was your gray area,
okay,
bro.
that was my gray area.
Don't put that
was
on
my
me.
gray area. You had them in the playoffs. You had them taking, I think, the last spot in the Eastern Conference, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And you're looking prescient, my friend, because after watching them against the Philadelphia 76ers, watching this Blake Griffin, I am changing my opinion. I like what they have going. Again, only 3 games in, where they won the first 3 games. Nonetheless, I like what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing a different Blake Griffin. What are you seeing?
This is the Blake I always knew.
Wait. You always knew? When did you know him? When did you know this Blake Griffin? When did you see this Blake Griffin in L.A.?
Blake he's by far one of the most talented players that I've ever played with. And Rick, there's 9 different teams, number of Hall of Famers, All-Stars. There's a long list I can go down. He's up there talent-wise with the Dirks, with the Garnetts, talent-wise. And he's had moments and flashes. Yeah. Now, Blake also has a lot of mental hurdles to get over. He's got some teammate issues, chemistry issues that he's kind of battled through. Sure. I don't want to say coaching issues, but he hasn't. Yeah, I'll say coaching. He hasn't gotten on the same page with the coach. But I think you're giving Blake Griffin an organization now at a time when he's mature enough.
Yeah.
Young Blake Griffin was, let me go dunk on the entire league. Let me go make a name for myself. Then it was, hold on, I'm really smart. I need to shoot this jump shot because I'm not going to be able to dunk on everybody for long. He realized that sooner than later. So there was a bit of a setback. Now you got a Blake Griffin that plays against small ball. When I say plays against small ball, you look at the Lakers, there are a number of teams that don't even have a second legitimate post defender on their roster. The Lakers have one post defender on their roster.
JaVale McGee.
And JaVale is a very good defender, but JaVale can get in foul trouble. Not necessarily because he's fouling, Rick.
No, but he can only play 20 minutes too. He's got the asthma. He's got the asthma issue. So 25 minutes is about the max that you're going to get out of JaVale McGee in any game. And
when you push it more, the refs might not allow it. You know what I'm saying? The referee, There were some calls the other night against Aldridge where it's just like, I'm LaMarcus Aldridge, you're JaVale McGee, we calling it. We don't care if this year's 7th foul. We calling it, you gone, brother. And I say that to say, Blake Griffin is a matchup problem every single night. There's not many centers that can guard him. There's definitely not a small forward that can guard him. And I want to know what you think about this. Rick, Blake is a very underrated passer.
Yes.
And he's a guy you can run offense through.
Yes. You didn't see my tweet because I've always felt, and I've said this before in other places.
You called me out.
Yeah, I did. I called you out. This is the genius of Dwayne Casey, who's known as a defensive coach, but he's made Blake into a high post playmaker. Now, I feel as if Doc did some of that when Chris Paul was hurt. I never thought they were a good combination for that reason, because I think the two skills that Blake has that make him special as a power forward are his ball handling and his passing. I think his passing and his playmaking, his vision is way underrated. What I saw against the Sixers was him having full control of that, getting it at the elbow, surveying what he has, but he played with a confidence and an aggression from all over the field. When he was taking a 3, he'd set that up. He'd get that little cross dribble, didn't hesitate. That shot looked pure. Playmaking, he was reading, reacting, and he wasn't trying to just bowl guys over. That was my problem, is that he would try to beast guys, and he wasn't, against longer defenders, he would try to draw that contact and get into them, and if they were agile enough, he couldn't get his shot off. So I'm seeing a completely different Blake Griffin, and I love what how they're using him offensively. I wonder if being in Detroit, how much that has to do with the maturation, because he was all about LA and he was all about taking advantage of all the various things that LA provides outside of basketball. And I don't fault him for that. I don't mean that in a partying, go nuts way, but into comedy, into the social life. I mean, all of that. I wonder if being in Detroit and being the star, the undisputed star on that team, has shifted Blake's focus more toward basketball than it's ever been.
No, I can't give you that.
Okay.
And I'll give you a player's example. There's a strong example. Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
If Ben Simmons hadn't had an offense tailored and created around him, you'd be saying he's everywhere from a bust to just a very athletic player. Brett Brown and Colangelo at the time, he's the GM, made a commitment to Ben Simmons to say, we are going to start the year with you as our starting point guard. You're going to get us in the offense. You're going to push the ball during the break. You are our starting point guard. If you don't put Ben Simmons in those opportunities, you never know who Ben Simmons is. Blake Griffin is now getting an opportunity to say, you're kind of our point forward.
Yeah, exactly.
You're our point forward right now. And now you're getting to see the most out of him. Blake and Chris didn't quite mesh because what Blake Griffin didn't have in shooting, he had in playmaking. But are you going to tell Chris Paul, one of the best playmakers in the game, not to kind of do his deal? So Chris would have had to get off the ball a lot sooner for you to really see who Blake Griffin is. And Chris is a perfectionist, dude. So if he hits Blake early and Blake missed the jumper, it's like, no, let me set you up for a dunk. Let me set you up for a mid-range. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's not going to make that same mistake twice, if that's a mistake, in his mind.
So the numbers would say, and you can go back and look, when Chris Paul was injured, and there were stretches where he was injured, and that's one of the issues that Blake has faced too, is that he has been injury prone. But there were stretches where Chris Paul was injured, and Blake did get to take more of a role, and his numbers skyrocketed. But I still didn't see the same kind of Blake Griffin that I saw against the Sixers, where he went and got it. I mean, you could feel the confidence coming off of him when he crossed midcourt, when they needed a bucket down the stretch. He got the and one that essentially won the game. He went at Joel Embiid, found his spot, and then hit the little fade bank shot. There was just a confidence, an assurance, and an aggression that even when Chris Paul wasn't on the floor, that I didn't see from Blake Griffin. Help me explain how much does coaching, how much does knowing that you're the only guy there and you're going to be the only guy there. I'm just trying to figure out why I'm seeing such a different Blake when there were opportunities for him to be this even when he was in LA.
Dude, like I said, man, he's matured. He's playing with a small ball center, and he's in a situation that fits a little more. Out of Summer League in Vegas, I ran into Reggie Jackson. That's my dude, my young fella. I remember when Reggie first came into the league, getting drafted, he worked out with us, man. I knew he was going to be a stud in the league. And we talked, and I said, Reggie, do you understand how special Blake is for you? Because you don't have to do everything now. You don't have to run every single pick and roll. You can now hit Blake on a short roll. You can now hit him on the elbow. He can pass. He can play make.
Yeah.
And you can go spot up and shoot, save your legs. This is the perfect addition for you. I was like, get Blake the basketball. You will see what he does with it. And not to mention now, you got a small forward on him. I mean, Darko Saric was lunch. Yeah. Darko Saric was lunch. I mean, Blake is spinning off 7-footers. And now when you got a smaller guy, I can go either shoulder. Why? Because you can't move me, dude. You can't stop me, Rick.
Is it time to call Joel Embiid the biggest flopper in the NBA?
No, not at all, man. Like,
what? He took Andre Drummond out of that game. There were histrionics that the refs clearly bought into.
You have to, bro. I mean, you have to. I mean, I can't call him the biggest.
He's a flopper, though. Can you call him that? I mean, he's in the field of Vlade Divac's and Manu Ginobili's. He is.
You call it flopping, I call it intelligence. You know, I think it's a smart basketball play. I think we're so quick to see flopping and go, Now, there are some guys who are cheap. Like, dude, you didn't get touched and you fell down. To me, that's a flop. But if I see you out of control and I choose to not fight with you anymore, I don't call that a flop.
Okay, so at one point, I think it might have been Andre Drummond's last foul, and he got a technical foul off of it, where they're going for a rebound, and he moves his hand, and he catches Joel a little bit in the temple, in the head. Joel reacts like he just got punched in the forehead, and then starts gesturing to the crowd and the officials, get him out of here, get him out of here. That's too much. If you own Andre Drummond, if you want to beat Andre Drummond, then beat Andre Drummond. Don't play the games. Look, Marcus Smart is a guy who I have the greatest admiration for. Love his game. He does some of the same stuff. Chris Paul does some of the same stuff. LeBron James, when you're as good as those guys are, I get playing tricks. I get trying to get a foul in a certain situation. There is such a thing as taking it too far. And I feel as if Joel Embiid has entered the field of guys who take it too far.
Rick, it's 2018. I don't think you understand because you're stuck in like the 90s, bro.
No.
Like you want to see melees and fights and physical tough play. Rick,
no.
Let me tell you something, bro.
What are you talking about? You're going from like one end of the spectrum to the other.
Oh, Rick, look, man. Guys are too big, too strong, and too fast to just stand in there and defend sometimes.
Okay.
And when you take a charge on some of these guys, you change the dynamic of the basketball game. And now they got to think twice before they make a move. Because if a guy can just lower his shoulder and run you over, you're good. And Drummond, that's something he needs to work on. I mean, I remember there are times in the league, I'd run down on a break. He'd be on a rim run. I just stand there. You don't know how many big guys I've gotten charges on. Just he's on the rim run. Coach is yelling at him, head on the rim. And I just sit there. He'll run me over, bro. Charge. Going the other way.
I'm good with those. It's the extracurricular, a guy waves his hand and you act like he slapped you in the face. It's those are the plays that annoy me.
Okay. Yeah. You didn't get shot by the sniper from upstairs.
Exactly. Oh. You've seen it. You've seen LeBron do it. You've seen CP3 do it. Guys they're coming around a screen and they throw themselves toward midcourt because they caught a little bit of a hip. Look, I get it's part of the gamesmanship. I get fooling the referees. There's an extreme that Joel Embiid has taken it to that, much like LeBron James, when I consider you so talented that you don't need to play those little cat and mouse games, to me it's beneath them as players.
So Rick, let me give you the ladder. If you go to the hole and somebody has two hands on you, grabbing you and holding you, and then the referee tells you you're strong enough, you're big enough, that shouldn't be a fact. You are definitely judged because you got to think there are referees who some of them ain't played a lick of basketball, definitely don't know what it's to be like to be bigger, stronger, and faster. And they go, man, you should just finish that layup. Dude, it's an unfair advantage on the other side because if he don't grab me, I'm dunking the basketball. But if I grab him, if I grab Patty Mills, if I grab a smaller guard, it's immediately a foul. You can't even touch Steph Curry. You can't even get right into Steph Curry without being blown for a whistle. So why does he have different rules than I have? Because I'm bigger and stronger. Because when he shoots a three, he's allowed to get loose. But as a strong guy on the block, you're taking points away. And then you look, do you know how weak you look when a guy pushes you to the ground? They don't call a foul. You're sitting there, you're looking back up. Or you got to do it, right?
Yeah. No, I get it. I understand the gamesmanship. And supposedly this year is where they're going to allow the freedom of movement and they're going to call fouls in the post the same way that they have on the perimeter.
I love that. I hope they stick to it. And that's a Blake Griffin 50 ball right there for you. Because if you can't put your hands on Blake Griffin in the post,
you're in trouble.
That's a 50 ball.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? They need to completely allow that. Because you know what, Rick? That's why us big guys don't have jobs. That's why I'm sitting here on this podcast with you right now, is because freedom of movement. You can't post up. If the post game ain't dead, you can just grab a hold down there. Yeah. A small forward can guard your center because the way the rules have been called. Now, I hope the consistency stays there. It's a little too late for me to make a comment. Well, I mean, it's not too late. I don't think I'm in it. I work out for fun now, Rick. But, dude, you're talking a night and day difference.
Yeah, agreed. We have a team at the other end of the spectrum in the Western Conference. Actually, two teams, both the Los Angeles Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll get to the Lakers in a minute and the whole Rondo, CP3, LeBron James issues that came out of their dust up the other day. But I want to get to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are now 0-3. They started with a loss to the Golden State Warriors without Russ Westbrook. The first two games they played without Russ, losing to the Warriors, the Kings, and the Clippers. Are alarm bells sounding? How much do you credit the fact that Russ didn't have a preseason, didn't play the first two games, and trying to get everybody on the same page with Paul George now fully vested in the Oklahoma City Thunder? Where's your level of concern about the fact that the Thunder are 0-3?
Man, my concern there is a 10. I covered the Clippers. It's a 10. I covered the Clippers Thunder game, and outside of Paul and Steven Adams, they have no perimeter shooting. They don't have another player on the team. Like, it's ugly. And Steven Adams' best attribute is rebounding, getting on the glass, doing that. But outside of Paul George, I mean, Paul was literally, when I say alone, he was alone. At least you had Roberson in the corners. You had Corey Brewer kind of doing his thing. Like, dude, they need some scoring.
Right.
I know they can defend. They can get after you. They're still tough, but they need some scoring. Dennis Schroeder, they're guarding him like Rondo, bro. They're sitting in the paint, and you can't have 3 of your 5 guys or 4 of your 5 guys being guarded at the free throw line. So now I can play boxes and elbows. What are boxes and elbows? That means I'm shrinking the floor. Every time you drive, there should be no driving lanes. And now you're hoping and banking on getting an offensive rebound. Oklahoma City prides themselves on offensive rebounds. Not a bad deal in a small ball generation type of game. But you know why my problem is with that? It's because they're just chucking shots at the rim saying, oh, we're going to go rebound them. You ain't winning like that, dog.
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
It is an interesting subject because I'm a believer in Dennis Schroeder. I believe he's going to have to make the adjustment that he's not going to have the ball in his hands all the time. I look at his shot. I don't see any reason. It takes him a little while to load that shot up. It's not a quick shot, but he is such a threat to put the ball on the floor and attack that I believe he's going to have the space necessary to get that 3 off. And I don't see any reason why he can't hit it consistently.
Let me ask you, how much of a threat can he be when the other wings are getting sagged off on?
Well, again,
so I'm not against him.
Roberson's hurt right now, so he's not in the mix. I don't know. I really don't understand why they didn't bring Corey Brewer back. I thought he was a great plus for them when they picked him up at the end of last year. Haven't talked to anybody at Oklahoma City yet, so I don't know why they made that decision. But I hope to find out because he'd be a huge help, especially playing with Russ. He's fast enough to get up and down the floor. He understands how to spot up. He understands how to play off of quick point guards. He had his time with Ty Lawson, and so I just
where's your concern? Where's your concern? You seem kind of optimistic right now.
No.
Nasty.
I'm not as optimistic as I was at the beginning of the year. I was very optimistic, and now I have some concerns. Multitude of concerns because defensively, I still think that they can be very special.
They're very good defensively.
Yeah.
True.
And I still believe that because of Steven Adams, because of their ability to play with size, and you have guys like Schroeder, Paul George, and Russ Westbrook who can break down their defender. Yeah, maybe you can't get all the way to the rim because of the boxes and elbows, but you should be able to draw enough attention that if you put that ball up on the rim or you throw a lob to Steven Adams, just shifting the defense over, you should be able to get some buckets.
And you're going to throw a lob to Steven Adams when they don't care if the wings shoot.
Well, you still have to space the floor. But,
right?
But again, it's a matter of if Russ, Paul, or Dennis are beating their guy off the dribble. And even on a sag, those guys are capable of getting into the paint. I'm not saying getting all the way to the rim, but I'm saying to get within 10 feet. And that's all I need, that if I'm then putting the ball up on the rim and Steven Adams or Nerlens Noel can go get it, that to me is the way that their offense is going to work. And it's,
hey, bro, there's no lobs without corner shooters. I will tell you that right now. No lobs without a guy who can at least just catch and shoot. Why? Because I can tag the roller and I can get back, and that's a problem.
Okay, so why can't you, if you have Russ working and you have, say, Paul George in the corner on the strong side, or Roberson when he's healthy? Again, a lot of this is ultimately Dennis Schroeder has to be able to knock down a corner three. Say you have him in the corner.
Their offense ain't free-flowing, and, dude, his shot was bad. Now, there are a couple shots that he hit, but when you're going 1 for 3 shooting mid-range jumpers, it's not a good look. Now, if you get Russ, Schroeder, and PG in space, not to mention Paul's man ain't leaving him. It's the other guys getting sacked off on. You get them playing in space, that's dangerous. It ain't looking good, man. Russ is going to be more healthy. He'll get better. But just, man, if you can't get him a Kyle Korver, you can't get him a dude who can fill it up or that you can't leave, that is a major, major problem. Because when I watch them play, their pace ain't there. And I know Russ is good for pace, but you got to have guys who spread that floor for him, man. You have to compliment those two as much as you're going to them.
This is why I believe that they can improve. Patrick Patterson right now is shooting 25% from three. He's a 36, 37% shooter career-wise. He can knock down a corner three. Alex Abrines, he's shooting way below what he's capable of.
He ain't been playing that much.
Understood. But they're going to have to find a way to get him on the floor and play him more. Because I agree with you. They do need better spacing, and they do need to put shooters on the floor. I think they have a couple of guys that can get that done. So I'm going to wait. I got to give them at least 2 more weeks. I actually liked what I saw from them against the Warriors, particularly that matchup in the opener. The Clippers lost, the Kings lost, and Russ missed the Clippers game. He played the Kings game, and they got run by the Kings.
They got run by the Kings.
And that's not a good look because the Kings are
the offense is stagnant.
Yes.
The offense is stagnant.
I agree.
They're stagnant. That's a problem.
But it's been stagnant for years.
Hey, bro, Golden State's still going through training camp right now. They're still getting in shape.
They're just having their lattes. They're not even, they haven't even got to training camp. They're just waking up. They haven't even taken their sweats off. They're sitting on the porch having a latte. That's where they are. Okay. The other team that started out 0-3 in the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Lakers. How great is your level of concern for them?
My level of concern is a 3. Why are you smiling, Rick? Why are you smiling? Look, this is why I'm at a 3, Rick. This is honest. If you told me that the Lakers were going to be able to go out and score 130, 140 a night, I'm ecstatic. The biggest problems with that team right now is defense. Can they get enough stops to play the way that they want to play? Now, how do they want to play defensive? They want to pressure the basketball. They want to climb into you. Those are all great things, but you have to be in sync defensively. You got to talk. You got to communicate. You got to be on a string. You got to have a leader behind your defense, and you can't just play hero basketball on the defensive end. What is hero basketball? Hero basketball means, oh, my guy's not going to go score. Or, well, I'm just going to get a bunch of blocks every game. Or, well, you know what? JaVale McGee, he'll clean up everything. So when he goes to help, I don't need to help his man out. I watched them improve. But the bigger problem to me would be, how are you going to play with Rondo and Lonzo and LeBron on the floor at the same time? Are you going to be able to score enough? Are you going to have enough shooting? You got to think, Rondo and Ingram missed the game, and they put up 140 on the Spurs, which are definitely a playoff team. So the fact that they can score the basketball, I can mix and match around there. They're going to have to make a move for a post defender. They're going to have a guy who can kind of spell JaVale McGee or depending on night is available. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge had a field day. Now, every team doesn't have a LaMarcus Aldridge, but you got to have something there because it's going to come back to bite you. And Kyle Kuzma ain't no small ball center. Okay, let's just erase that. But they can fix the defense. You can get creative defensively. And you know what, dude? LeBron ain't in it. He's mentally not in it. And I know once he turns it on, ain't nobody better. But right now, LeBron's still figuring out, am I kind of too good for this? You know, what is the NBA? He's forgotten how to just get down, get dirty, and just hoop. There's a million things on LeBron's mind as expected, but missing those 2 free throws is embarrassing enough that he'll be back. And not to mention, Rick, the rest of the league gives you games, bro. They played the setup game, as we would call Portland at home opening night. You play Houston, the game that they should have won, and then San Antonio, a well-run, well-oiled machine.
They weren't going to beat Houston.
I don't know, Rick.
You can take the fight away. You can take all that away. They were not going to beat Houston.
Listen, LeBron James was still waking up. He's poor on defense, bro. He's not talking. He's not communicating.
I agree with you on all of that. What makes you think that the light switch is going to go on for LeBron James with this LA team?
They're deep. Film don't lie, and you got a lot of guys figuring themselves out. And the one thing about that fight, it's going to bring some guys together. Now, ultimately, I don't know if it brings all the guys together.
Yeah.
Seems to be somewhat of an outlier in this situation. And everything that I know from Rondo, in my personal opinion, he's looking at LeBron a little sideways for that. But you know what? If there's anyone going to get a pass for not doing it, it's LeBron. If there's anyone you're going to say, whatever,
from Rajon?
bro.
From Rajon?
Yeah, from anyone.
A little sideways. Rajon Rondo and Chris Paul have had a beef since 2008 when Chris Paul made the Redeem team, the national team, and Rajon didn't. They've been salty ever since because Rajon had a ring. He thought, this is my time, and he was left outside looking in. Wasn't invited to the cool kids' lunch table. I believe a lot of this also is that Chris Paul and Rajon are very much alike. They're both uber competitive. They both are, as you said, perfectionists. They're demanding in terms of people doing the right thing at the right times. I see that, though, as an issue because in the midst of that battle, LeBron James going over and hugging Chris Paul and then putting his arm around Chris Paul and watching the proceedings. And meanwhile, Rajon is out there in the middle of that. You're going to tell me that a guy like Rajon Rondo, you know him. You know what he believes in loyalty. You know what he thinks about in terms of we as a team are together. You think that he's going to just take LeBron stepping off and associating himself with the enemy, that he's going to be cool with that?
So, Rick, for your exact point, and I want to hear you on this, their beef, as you brought out, proceeds long before LeBron.
Absolutely.
Long before the Lakers.
Yep.
Long before the Rockets.
Yep.
So when Rajon approached Chris, I don't think he's looking for any information from anybody else. Now, it was nice that Ingram came running. And he's like, young fella, don't worry. You averaging 20 this year, okay? You averaging 20 this year. But I say that, Rick, this was beyond LeBron. If he would have thought that LeBron ain't a fighter, dude, his track record shows LeBron ain't going to fight. LeBron is going to do something that's a little awkward to basketball behavior. He's not going to fight, and he's going to almost be coddling Chris Paul. They're on opposite teams, and their wives are sitting together. So you think those two aren't going to get along? Nah, man, they're going to get along. They're going to be close.
What would have been the better look in this instance? LeBron goes and gets Rajon and takes him away from the situation, or he goes and he gets Chris Paul and takes him away from the situation.
Here's the better look. I'm going to give you two things. He gets Chris Paul, no problem with that. He grabs him, he calms him down, and then he goes and dresses the rest of his team. Or James Harden, where the heck was James Harden? Comes out and grabs Chris Paul and says, Bron, I got him. We're just looking at LeBron. Everyone looked like individuals. Carmelo had an agenda. Ingram had an agenda. Rondo had an agenda. LeBron had an agenda. Everybody was going there different. Lonzo, where the heck was Lonzo Ball? He had an agenda. He was on the outskirts of that bad boy.
Well, we've already seen that. We've seen Lonzo walk away from a teammate and somebody and an opponent getting into it. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
I think LeBron leaves Chris Paul. LeBron leaves him after he grabs him. He's cool. He leaves him and he goes and dresses him.
But that's not what happened. They were boys. They were boys hanging out.
What will be the acceptable situation for the team? That will be the acceptable situation. And let me give you this: everybody's up in arms about that suspension. Mm-hmm. What? 2 games? 3 games? Brandon Ingram needs to miss the season. You want to know why those suspensions worked the way they did? You had, if I'm not mistaken, the pillars of today's NBA of the last decade. Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, LeBron James, president of the Players Organization, it self-fixed itself. That situation, LeBron diffused it. Carmelo diffused it. Rondo was up in arms, but he was over it. Rondo definitely didn't diffuse it, but it fixed itself out. Brandon Ingram, first-time offender. Commissioner Silver looked at the thing, said, I got a lot of first-time offenders other than Rondo, and you guys are smart enough to figure it out for yourself. And in fact, in the game, you guys figured it out.
This is what I found surprising, is that the referees steered clear. In every other instance, I've seen the referees get in the middle of it and divide guys, even at the expense of their head high, and that's where the fists are flying. They were almost like hockey referees. Well, we're just going to let them duke it out, and when they get tired, then we'll step in and break it up. I've never seen that before. It was extraordinary.
I give you this, too. What do you think about this? Normally, it's you go to your bench, you go to your bench.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a different level of respect for LeBron and Carmelo because those guys were separating. To me, it was beautiful to see in the sense that you had the elders of the NBA kind of stepping in and going, figure this out. I got this guy. You got this guy. And it was bigger than basketball for that moment. Now, as far as team camaraderie, ain't the best look for LeBron. I'm not going against that. Have you seen their huddles?
Have you watched their timeouts?
Oh, there's some fixing to do.
There's no interaction, man. They're all guys waiting for a bus.
I mean, what did we expect, man? This thing just got together.
I understand that. But LeBron is the guy who's supposed to be fixing this. LeBron is the guy who's capable of bringing them together. And when I see him in a dust-up like this was a great opportunity to bring them together, to side with Rajon Rondo, to show where his loyalties lie. And what did he do? He went with the Banana Boat crew member. And there's another element here that's a little bit different, and I'm curious to see how this goes over the course of the season, especially because the media is onto it. It's being discussed by the broadcast crews, which is, look at Rajon Rondo telling everybody where to go. Oh, look at that. He's telling LeBron James where he needs to be. Now, we can all appreciate that from a basketball standpoint, but LeBron James is not going to like that. He's not going to like the image of Rajon Rondo being the smarter basketball player, of being the guy who's running the show. LeBron doesn't cater to that. And I just wonder over the long term if people, and Rajon's right in what he's saying and what he's doing. You mentioned it. Like, LeBron's not in the right place defensively. Rajon's not doing anything out of turn. I just don't know if LeBron has the appetite for hearing that from Rajon all year long.
You know what? If LeBron's about truth, if LeBron wants to win, he's going to hear it. Now, if Rondo's play is up to par, he's going to hear it. But if Rondo starts to suffer, his plus minus is down, he's not practicing the things that he preaches,
right?
LeBron is going to turn on him. Case in point, Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was shooting bulk shots. He wasn't healthy, wasn't helping the team win. Isaiah Thomas came back a little too soon, a little too much talking. It was time to go.
Sure.
Rajon Rondo's play is where it should be of what we've seen, and he's played very well when he has played. He is going to be a guy who LeBron will listen to. But if that ain't there, we're going to have an issue, and that will grow. But right now, it's who is who, what are we here for? These uncomfortable conversations are being had.
LeBron is also LeBron about truth. Okay, I will give you that, even though I don't 100% believe it.
I think it's more respecting. Like, you got to earn it.
But he's also about image.
Look, dude, let's not deny this. I've seen LeBron on both sides of this thing. I've seen the LeBron that's a part of the cool kids club, okay? Who don't defend, don't do stuff, just wants to shoot threes and look cool.
We've seen a lot of that this season. I've seen 3 games of that so far.
Yeah, absolutely. PJ Tucker had a corner 3 in which LeBron's job was to tag the roller and run him off the line. Even though it was out the strong side corner, his job was to run PJ Tucker off that 3. That was the dagger in that Houston game. LeBron didn't close out to the corner. Then LeBron put his hands up and looked at his teammates. Nah, bro, that was your rotation.
Right.
Facts, okay?
Hey, what about the Rudy Gay shot that basically put him in position? He drifted down for what reason?
It was the cool kids club. It was, I don't trust my feet. dude, you're the baddest athlete on the planet at 34 years old still. Close out, get in the stance, contest the three, and win the game. It is a game of inches, bro. It is hard as heck to win in the NBA, Rick.
And then the last shot. What was that?
It was nasty. It was predetermined, dude, that I'm going to do this, this, and this, and it's going to work. It was predetermined.
Fade left from 22 feet inside the arc.
Rick, you saw it in the finals. But I've also seen LeBron. We say that. Well, that's the cool LeBron. We've seen LeBron get down to business. We've seen him defend. We've seen him run the floor. We've seen him knock all the cool out. The LeBron who went and blocked Iguodala's shot in the NBA Finals to win the game.
Yes.
Like, we've seen uncool LeBron go. The LeBron who broke down in tears because he saw his legacy slipping through his hands.
Sure.
Literally, as he runs, LeBron wasn't just running for a block. LeBron was running for his life. He chased that thing down with his life on the line, with his legacy. That's the uncool LeBron.
You can't convince me. Until I see otherwise, I need to know that LeBron still exists in LA. I believe LeBron is about a lot of other things in LA, running for his life, running for his legacy. I just don't know I don't believe that that's the priority right now. And until I see it, I am going to have concerns that he's going to bring this Lakers team of disparate parts. And we didn't even get to the fact that if Michael Beasley ain't playing and Lance Stevenson ain't playing, that's going to be a problem in the locker room at some point. All right, we've gone far enough on this.
Yeah.
Great stuff, as always. In tomorrow's podcast, we will give you our betting selections for the weekend, for Friday night. And for anybody who may know or may not be aware, last week was our first. We went 3-1. We said Jazz +2 over the Warriors. Winner. We said Cavs 8.5 over Minnesota.
Jimmy Butler. Winner.
We said on the over-under Celtics Raptors, take the over. Winner. The one we got wrong were the Nets and the Knicks. We said take the over on that, and that was the loser, but 3-1. That will make you a lot of moolah. So that's why we're here, and that's what we're going to do in the next podcast. Don't forget, you want to hear us Monday through Friday. Will Blackman joins me on Monday and Tuesday. We didn't even get to Marshawn Brooks. Maybe we'll touch on that tomorrow. On Friday. Tomorrow. Friday's podcast, we will get to Marshawn Brooks. I interviewed him for Wednesday's game, 4 years out of the league and back in. Want to get Ryan's take on just what a monumental achievement that is. In the meantime, hope you enjoyed this. Rate us on iTunes. We appreciate it. Talk to you tomorrow.